Hello, everyone. My name's Nathan Wade. I'm presenting on behalf of Team Cider. That is Allison Seiler, Justin Richardson, Matthias DeGarden, myself, and Phoebe Shirley. We're presenting the business plan of the Queen's Apple Orchard, which will include a hard cidery on location. So we've put a lot of research into this, and we're very excited to present it to everyone. Our concept is an apple orchard that's eco-friendly, is very responsible environmentally, which also happens to be a bonus because most of those things are also very budget beneficial to us as well. We really wanted to provide a unique experience that an entire family and extended family could enjoy, from the little ones all the way up to the grandparents, and that includes a cider mill on location for everyone to enjoy while they're out picking apples or whatever they might be doing as a family activity together. Our mission statement is to grow fresh, delicious apples, obviously, and we want to exceed the customer's expectation, especially when it comes to the experience in building family type camaraderie and memories. We also want to really be innovative in our product offering and separate ourselves from other people within the industry with our cider and different products that we bring to market. Obviously, we want to grow really great apples that exceed customers' expectations. We want to also put a priority on family and the importance that being able to do family activities together, and visiting an apple orchard and creating memories is something that we want to put an emphasis on, and that's what we want to provide within the apple orchard. And then we also want to provide a really great product. We want to be innovative in all that we do, and provide something that people keep coming back for, not just from an experience-wise, but also from product-wise. Within the orchard, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to sell different apple products: cider, hard cider, apple donuts, apple pie, anything with apples. Anything that you can imagine, we're going to look to sell it in our retail space or in our cafe or in our cider mill, or even you can go out and pick apples with your family if you want to as well. Looking at sort of the internal analysis here, we've got a really good new quality product. We've got multiple verticals in that we have different product offerings that we provide, which helps mitigate a lot of risk. We also, as a business partnership, have a really good knowledge of social networks, understanding of millennials and what they need and what they expect from a different type of experience. And we also have a really solid business foundation within the group that we have together already. And we have a really solid business plan and an opportunity for really limitless growth within the organization. Some of our competition includes Skyline Apple Orchard, Sierra Nevada Brewery, Cider Works, local bars, grocery stores, Old Mecklenburg. We have a very wide list of competition, but at the same time, that competition is also sort of offset by our multiple product offerings. So even though we might have really broad competition, our competition is also almost an hour and a half to 2 hours away in some cases, which really helps sort of offset that competition type risk. So we feel like we have a really good niche product and a really good market. Some of the things that we would need to look to mitigate and improve on in our market research that we found was consumer awareness for knowing about apple orchards, where they're at, what products that they offer. Something we'd have to overcome is alcohol consumption sort of ideas. We want to obviously promote responsible drinking and beverages, but we want to provide something that people enjoy as well. We would look to use local festivals, different types of entertainment events to help spread the word about our product offering. We would also look to use social media really actively to reach our demographic. We would promote with partnerships like breweries, restaurants, different places like that throughout the Charlotte area that we could look to get our name out there, and then eventually look to maybe use TV channels as marketing as well. So the offering that we're looking for from a business plan, as we start to go over the financials here. So there is a significant amount of startup costs, as we sort of researched and found out with any agricultural type of startup or farm or anything coming from complete scratch is going to really require a significant capital up front. So our total cost of startup would be about $4.9 million. That would include buying the property, getting all the plants that we needed, the apple trees, buying the barns and getting the facilities prepared, preparing the land, buying the tractors. So all of that is quite the significant startup cost. However, after running all the numbers, it's still quite the lucrative business. The founders, the five of us, me, Justin, Phoebe, Allison, and Matthias, would each have a 15% ownership stake, and would be looking to invest $750,000 each to help with these startup costs. And then we would be looking for an additional $1.25 million for 25% stake in the company. We would look to break that up, possibly to 2 or 3 different investors if we needed to. Some of the highlights in all of our projections is we become profitable by year 10, projecting over $2.5 million in sales that year. So it's quite significant. We do become overall very profitable. And after year 10, we would be projected a valuation about $12.68 million with estimated IRR on the overall initial investment of 21%. In our financial model, there's a couple things that you'll see as you go through that. We've got a little snapshot here coming up, but we've projected no sales in the first 3 years, and the simple reason for that is apple trees don't produce early on. It takes several years for them to come to maturity where they will actually start to produce fruit. And so there's a couple different options you have to help trees produce earlier, and we would look to incorporate some of those strategies. However, whenever they start to produce sooner, they actually overall produce less. So we would look to balance that to make sure that we still get the production that we have projected. We project a 5% growth rate year over year. We believe that's pretty conservative, and a lot of that growth, even though we don't necessarily produce more apples, as we continue to grow and our recognition and foot traffic continues to grow, we expect a lot of the wholesaling that we're doing early on to transition into retail and also retail prices of apples as we continue to grow as well. So we would transition into a little bit higher margins from our production. Like I said before, requires a significant amount of startup, but we do start to be cash flow positive as early as year 6 based on our pretty conservative projections. We used the same model for the cidery, and you'll see it here as we've combined them all together, but we didn't open that up until year 3 as well. And that way what we would get is a full experience for everybody. And it was a pretty simple way to model out what our expected cost would be from a production standpoint. So after year 3, we would plan on opening the cidery, and then we would be full go on production. We would also look to sell apples to the cidery at the same cost that we sell them to other wholesalers. We didn't feel like we should handicap the orchard by selling at a discount to the cidery. We believe both of those businesses should stand on their own 2 feet. So we don't sell at a discount. We expect to sell it at the same wholesale price we sell to everyone else. Our production plan to get everything going, especially for the orchard. Number one is picking the site. We need to find quality soil, optimal production and environment for the apple trees to produce everything that we need and maximize that. But we also have to check the box of being easily accessible so people can get to us and we can generate a higher amount of foot traffic. Our production policy, we will look to hire someone, an arborist, to come in, have full oversight over the trees themselves. That since we're somewhat lacking in experience, we would look to bring someone in full time, and then a part-time staff in August through December, the prime harvesting time for apples, and they would come in to help us with that as well. We'd also look to bring in a full-time head of the cider mill, probably a brewer, someone that has experience in that, and then someone to oversee all of our retail and restaurant dealings as well. We look to produce about 300 barrels of cider per year. From a production capacity of the orchard, 1 through 3, obviously we don't expect to produce anything. Years 4 and 5, about 650 bushels an acre. At full production, year 6, 1,100 bushels an acre. And then we would be full go at that point. We base all of our production scheduling on the natural harvesting of the apple trees, so our primary season would be August through November, and our staff would also ramp up significantly at that point because we would also expect higher foot traffic as people come out to pick and people pick themselves as well. Here you can see our financial plan. This is sort of an overview from about 10,000 feet. Pretty simplistic, but it helps you get an idea of overall what we're looking at from a financial perspective. As you can see here, cash flow positive year over year in year 6, and then overall IRRs of about 20% in year 10. You'll get more detailed financial modeling obviously in our written out business plan that you'll get in a couple of days. Some of the critical things that we really want to stay on top of is understanding our startup cost, but making sure that we've got enough cash to get us to the years that we know we will be profitable. We know we have a little bit of a lack of experience in the industry, so we're going to look to hire people and bring people in that can help with that. Location is going to be a really key factor, and like I said, there's multiple things we have to take into account, including foot traffic and apple production, making sure that we are setting ourselves up for success from that perspective. And then also we have some lack of connections within the industry that we would have to look to really develop over the first 3 years that we're not producing, that we could really start to sell and put our best foot forward when we start to actually produce. The team that would be working together would be our Chief Strategy Officer, Allison, as she'd be head of product development, heading up what we have in our retail stores, what we would provide as far as different cider options. She would really oversee that entire strategy moving forward. Our Chief Operating Officer would be Matthias. He oversees obviously our operations, making sure everything's efficient in the cidery and in the orchard. Our marketing officer would be Phoebe. She would head up our social media, our events calendar, getting the word out about our orchard, making sure that we really had a lot of visibility. Our chief sales officer would be Justin, and he would be primarily responsible for our wholesaling and those type of connections, as it's much different than the marketing officer. He would make sure we stay on top of our quotas and getting all the apples sold that we need to. And then myself, as the Chief Executive Officer, would be in charge of the primary capital raise and meeting with possible financiers, which is why I'm doing this presentation. Our exit strategy, we would primarily look to keep control of the company, but we could also sell to different companies that would look to pay a fair price for us as well. So that's our presentation. We're very excited and hope you'll decide to invest. Have a great evening.